The morning forest looked like a painting of silence. A gentle mist drifted between the trees, and soft light spilled through the gaps in the leaves. Dew sparkled on the tips of the grass, where tiny insects danced gracefully. Cocopin walked slowly through it all. The courage he had felt the night before had turned into unease, settling heavily in his chest. Yet his small feet did not stop. No matter how frightening, no matter how uncertain it was, a reason to keep going had begun to grow inside him. He wanted to protect someone's smile. He wanted to see a warm world with his own eyes. And if there was something he could do, he wanted to move toward that light with all his heart. That thought burned quietly within him. As he ventured deeper into the forest, the sounds began to change. The rustling of leaves faded, the wind softened, and then a melody flowed from somewhere. It was music beyond words. Whether it was a song or simply the wind's voice, he couldn't quite tell. Yet it carried sorrow, kindness, and distant memories, a warm, resonant sound. Cocopin followed it, as if drawn by an invisible thread. The mist lifted, and he arrived at a small clearing. In its center stood an ancient tree. Perched upon its branch was a golden cat. The cat gazed at him with clear blue eyes. Around its neck hung a small harp, and its supple tail swayed gently. The cat, Fromage, spoke to Cocopin with a kindness that felt as if they'd always known each other. The forest wind replied to his voice. The trees whispered, and birds began to sing. Around Fromage, it felt as if the entire forest were an old friend. Sensing the melody of Cocopin's journey, and gently recognizing the uncertainty within him, Fromage smiled and said, "A journey to find the song in your heart. That will be a beautiful adventure." Cocopin felt a warm breeze stir within his chest. The two of them left the forest and headed toward the eastern hills. The sun rose higher, and the sky deepened its blue. When Fromage strummed his harp from time to time, flowers swayed and small animals peeked out. For the first time, Cocopin felt the comfort of a journey walked together, not walked alone. But their peaceful moment was suddenly shattered by the wind. A blast of air roared from the sky, sending clouds spiraling. In the next instant, a shadow flashed through the air like lightning, crashing into a tree with a loud thud. It was a squirrel, but no ordinary squirrel. On its back were wings, and its tail was as fluffy as cotton candy. Its eyes spun wildly as it shouted in a loud voice. Picorino, a whirlwind of wind and thunder, an energetic soul who loved pranks and changed the weather at whim. Though they had just met, he instantly declared Cocopin and Fromage his friends, and invited himself to join the journey. Loud, chaotic, but somehow warm, it was the moment color entered Cocopin's adventure. As the three continued their journey, they arrived at the foot of the southern mountains. There, a strange scent met them, familiar, comforting, the smell of a warm soup that loosened the heart. Drawn forward, they followed a path, and a large shadow slowly emerged. It was a big, fluffy bear boy. His name was Mofu Maru. Quiet and a little absent-minded, yet from his hands extended a steaming pot and a wooden ladle. What he offered was a gentle soup of vegetables and mushrooms. Even without words, its taste eased the heart. That night, beneath a sky glittering with stars, the four of them sat around a campfire. Sparks rose into the air, and shadows danced among the trees. For a time, no one spoke, and in that silence, they all felt it, the bond of becoming companions. Eventually, Fromage plucked his harp. Picorino smiled shyly. Mofu Maru placed down his spoon and gazed at the stars, and Cocopin spoke softly. "I want to become strong, for someone else. There are things I want to protect. I want to create a world where smiles never fade." The other three nodded in silence, the same flame lit within their hearts. These four would later be known as the Tales of Light. But that night, they hadn't even shared their names. They had simply stared into the same fire, holding the same wish. And then, a star fell from the sky, as if the night itself had accepted their promise. The king of the black moon and the legendary batter. Far beyond the mountains, in a valley no one had ever stepped foot in, something was awakening. A place once said to seal away the king of the moon, where sunlight never reached and even the wind held no voice. There, deep in the darkness, two glowing red eyes opened slowly behind layers of stone, as if rage and sorrow from the bottom of the world had taken shape. Cocopin and his friends were still unaware of this looming crisis, but they could feel something beginning to shift. The morning wind felt colder. The sky seemed deeper, more distant. Even the forest birds were quieter than usual. Today might be a strange day, Fromage murmured as he looked up at the sky, and his words felt like a prophecy. That day, they made their way to the Hill of Legends, where it was said a batter once stood who could strike back the stars. As they reached the hill, a strange sound echoed from afar, a slicing of the wind. Heavy, sharp, precise. The sound of a bat. Do you hear it? Pecorino tilted his head, listening. Yes, the sound was drawing near. Then, over the hill appeared a towering young man. On his back, a uniform embroidered with gold. On his chest, a name glowed proudly, Shohei. He gripped his bat gently, stepping forward. Each stride etched certainty into the earth. You're on a journey, aren't you? His voice was kind, but strong, like spring thunder. Cocopin nodded quietly, then asked, Are you the legendary batter? The young man smiled slightly and looked up at the sky. In his eyes were both nostalgia and a light that looked toward the future. Legends. Well, let me know if you'd like this as a narrated script, formatted for film, or continued as a storybook.